This episode has been sponsored by my business, Lauren Grace Inspirations. I'm a business and life mentor, a workshop facilitator, a soul-led entrepreneur, and host of the Afterlight Podcast. I'm passionate about supporting people like you through transformative courses, mentorship, and trainings so that you can live the life that you choose. I love all things time management and helping the people that I work with to master their mindset. I truly believe that life is a precious gift, and when we can learn to be at one with our thoughts, when we can learn to love ourselves, control and master our time, we really can live an extraordinary life. I have a whole bunch of free offers on my website, and I strongly encourage you to go and check them out. I'd love to keep in touch with you. You can find me over at Lauren Grace Inspirations on all the socials, as well as laurengraceinspirations.com. And I strongly encourage you to sign up for my newsletter. 2 times a month, at least, I send a positive newsletter that's all about helping you to live the best life possible. I always include a card of the day, a business or a strategy tip, and I also include a spiritual lesson. I would love to have you join me, and I'd love to join you on your journey. Thank you, and enjoy the episode. Hello, Lauren Grace here, and welcome. Thank you so much for joining me. I am connected over on LinkedIn. I am also on Facebook and also on YouTube, and it is a true pleasure to be here with you today. I got to say as well, it's the first time that I've been broadcasting live to LinkedIn, so I'm interested in how that's going to go. And I want to thank you very much for being here with me. I'm just sharing something over there. Okay, just checking out all of the different Facebook pages and all the things. Okay, cool. So welcome. So today what I thought that I would do, I thought that I would answer some Q&As if you've got any questions in relation to mindset or productivity, or if you want to talk about spirituality, if you want to talk about business. Very often one of the things that I see with soul-led entrepreneurs is that there can be sometimes a bit of a disconnect between operating a spiritual-led business and then sometimes bringing in some of those business elements, which is one of the things that I love to combine the two of them together. I also wanted to talk today about mindset and the importance of making sure that we're doing everything that we can to really give ourselves the best chance at success. And that's making sure that we're monitoring what we're thinking about, that we're replacing those thoughts that are negative, that are not supporting us, that we're doing things in our daily life to really support ourselves, to lift us up and to help us step into the shoes of our future self and really show up like the person that we want to be. I'm also happy to do little mini 1-card readings as well, if that is something that you'd like, if you have an answer to or if you're looking for an answer to a question or a little bit of guidance and support, or if you just want a general card for you, remembering, of course, that the journey ahead is yours to shape, that you have free will as a beautiful sovereign being, and that life can change at the flip of a switch the minute you decide that you want something different. And that's what's really exciting. So go ahead and leave your questions and your comments as well in the comment section. I also have some questions here that I'm going to be answering that are to do with business as well as mindset. So I've got some pretty interesting questions that I really can't wait to get to. And I thought what we would do right now to kick things off is to have a general 1-card reading to set the tone. So if you are listening to this a little bit later on the podcast, or if you're just kind of watching this a little bit later in time, one of the cool things is that time is, really an illusion. Everything is happening in the now moment now. So this is a perfect card for you at the moment, no matter where you are in space and time listening to this. So just think of your question, or if you're just open to a little bit of spiritual guidance, what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose a card from the Wisdom of the Oracle deck. I absolutely love this deck. I really resonate with it. I haven't used it a lot lately, I've got to say. And then the other day I went to choose a card for myself, and this deck was like, girl, choose me. So I did, and I got some answers that I really was hoping to get anyway, which is also helpful. And I mean, that could be a whole other conversation when we read for ourselves. Very often that's what we get. Okay, card flipped out. That means that this is the perfect card for you. This is the card that we wanted. Oh, I love this card. This is so good. Okay. So this card here is card number 36. 3 plus 6 is a 9. 9 is an end of a cycle. It's sort of like things are wrapping up and we're getting ready to move into the next phase, the next step. As I'm really connecting with this card, I'm really feeling really emotional, feeling a lot of excitement. I'm really feeling like this is the time, almost like we're on the brink of a change. And you know what's really exciting about this card? This card is called Come to the Edge. And it is so beautiful here. And we can see that there's this woman and she's dancing on the edge of a precipice, and she is, moving and flowing, and there are all these hearts that all around her to really show that she's just covered in love, that there's so much love and support surrounding her, and she's moving with such grace and flexibility, knowing that she's getting ready for the next step. And there's a poem that I remember I was listening to this I was watching this UK TV show many years ago, and this woman recited this poem, which I'm going to recite for you in a moment if you haven't heard it already. And when I looked it up, it was created or written by an artist named Guillaume Apollinaire. And it's slightly different, his variation, than the one that she shared on the show. And the one that she shared on the show is the one that I really connected to. So I've kind of adapted this. Well, I've taken her adaptation from his poem. And it says this, it goes, "Come to the edge. We can't, we're afraid. Come to the edge. We can't, we might fall. Come to the edge." And they came, and he pushed them, and they flew. And that for me is everything, isn't it? It's talking about taking this leap of faith. It's talking about putting ourselves out there. I was talking to somebody just recently who was aware of a shortcoming or a skill that they wanted to really improve on in their life. And so they signed up for courses to really assist them with that. And I just thought, you go. When we know that we are here for something other than maybe what we're doing, or we know that we can take our abilities a little bit further, what that allows us to do is to show up in the world as the people that we came here to be. Is allowing us to show up in the world and to speak the words that we came to say and to create an impact that we came to create. We all have that within ourselves. We all have that desire to connect to why we're here, and when we can come to the edge, and when we can take that shot, that risk, sign up for that course, try that new thing, go to that new place, say yes to something where we may have said no the whole time. That then allows the universe to meet us halfway and to go, now you are ready. And now when we say, yes, I'm ready, all of a sudden helpful people start to find their way to us. We're recommended to some excellent books that really help to shift and change our perspective. All of a sudden, synchronicities start to happen. We get inspired actions that just seem to come from nowhere. And it's all because we are saying yes to the moment. I'm going to come to the edge. I'm going to jump, and I know that I will be caught. I know that spirit will catch me. And that's what this card is all about for you today. So I just love that was the way that we were going to start this particular show, because today I wanted to talk about mindset. I wanted to answer questions around mindset. I wanted to answer questions around, how we can step into our future self right now. And, the average person thinks between 60,000 and 80,000 thoughts a day. And that's almost 330 thoughts an hour, right? 3,300 thoughts an hour. Those are a lot of thoughts that are happening if we are continuously saying things to ourselves that are negative, or we're not supporting ourselves, or putting ourselves down, or we're worried, or we're fearful. There was that experiment about water many years ago, Dr. Emoto, and, the whole idea was that he had these intentions placed on these glasses of water. And one of them was, I hate you. And one of them was, I love you, and that sort of thing. And then after the water was analyzed, that they showed that the different, I don't know if it's cells or, the different things, that aspects that make up the water had actually changed and crystallized. I think it was maybe when they froze it, they could see something like that. I'm kind of butchering that whole synopsis, but what I wanted to show to you was that we are made up of 70 to 75% water. And when we are telling ourselves things that are negative about ourselves, or when we are sitting in worry and fear, we're really imprinting the cells in our body in a certain way. And so a big part about when we can learn to master our mindset, when we can learn to really come back into the heart, when we can see through the eyes of love, when we can show up and be more compassionate for ourselves, we're really giving ourselves an opportunity to almost start again, but to really show up in the best version of ourselves. And so one of the things I do want to definitely let you know is that I have an amazing, and I think it's amazing, and it's a 21-day challenge called Master Your Mindset. And the challenge was created because I could see people who were having challenges with negativity, or spending time with people who didn't make them feel good, or wasn't aware of their energy, or didn't know how to let the past go, didn't understand about forgiveness, didn't know how to be more compassionate with self, didn't understand about finding feelings that feel good and following feelings of joy. And so I created this 21-day challenge where every single day you get a new audio download from me, and you get a technique or a tip or trick or an exercise to follow that's in your workbook. And every single day adds on to the next one. And then by the end of it, you're just really stepped into who you want to be. You really stepped into a more confident version of yourself. So all the details can be found on my website. And if you have any questions about whether or not it's for you, please do let me know. So what I thought I would do now is I would answer a bit of Q&A that I have been given here, which are some different questions. As a mindset and a productivity coach, I love to answer Q&A. One of the reasons for that is because very often if somebody has a question, somebody else is going to have that same question as well, right? So, when you're in a room full of people and you're afraid of asking a question and then you do it, and there's like sighs of relief going everywhere because everybody else has had that question, but they didn't want to ask it themselves. That's one reason why I absolutely love the Q&A. And I know for myself, when I listen to podcasts or shows where people are answering Q&A, I'm always so fascinated by the answers, but also the questions themselves. What are challenges that people are having, or what are the things that they're kind of puzzling through? So our first question is, how can I balance my work goals with my spiritual practices without getting stressed? And as a productivity coach, I absolutely love talking about productivity, time management, scheduling things in. And that's the secret. The secret is scheduling things in. One of the reasons that I think that we can often get caught up and we can get sort of out of sync, where we can maybe giving too much, not receiving enough, or when we aren't finding time for self-care, is because we're getting caught up a lot of the time in the doing of everything. This particular person is asking about how can I balance my work goals with my spiritual practices? Well, number one, why can't the two of them go hand in hand? But also, when we are so fixated on doing all the time, we're sometimes forgetting to allow the universe to meet us halfway. We're forgetting those opportunities for us to really receive. So my advice to you, my suggestion to you would, number one, be, can you combine some of your spiritual practices? And I'm not sure, what they are for you, but with your work goals. So for example, if you have work goals of things that you want to achieve, can you incorporate some of those goals into your meditation or into your visualization? Can you maybe do some of your automatic writing to really assist you in getting clarity from your work goals? As you're at work and you're working towards certain goals and certain achievements that you'd like to achieve, can you maybe bring in some of your spiritual practices by maybe incorporating a crystal, like a beautiful crystal? For me, I have a whole stack of crystals over here that I keep beside me as I work on my business, as I work on my goals. At the moment, I have just put on a whole bunch of bee-centered essential oil. It's like a lavender infused oil, as well as a sacral energy oil. And I've put on, and so I smell good, and I'm working towards my business goals as well. So really getting clear on what are some of the spiritual practices that you want to incorporate into your life, and then not seeing them as separate from your work goals, but seeing them as a combination of the two and putting them together. Next question. How can I overcome anxiety and negative thoughts in a high pressure job? This is a very, very good one. The first thing that comes to mind, thank you guys, is to take more breaks more frequently. I know that for myself, when I used to work in corporate, when I worked in high intense jobs, I felt like I needed to be on all of the time. I felt that I needed to be there all of the time. I didn't take lunch breaks. I worked early. I worked late. And one of the things that inevitably happens is, number one, we burn out, but also we start to, I think, subconsciously resent people who aren't doing the same thing. It's almost like there's this martyrdom that happens where we go, oh, wow, look at me putting in all of these hours, unpaid, by the way, and look at how wonderful I am performing in my job. And you know what that does is it breeds, I think, resentment. It also creates fatigue. And a big part about when we are fatigued is that we're not performing at a high level. So I highly recommend that you take breaks, okay? Even getting out in nature, even going and washing your hands longer than normal to just feel some of the healing energy of the water, even just going and drinking a glass of water mindfully, maybe stare out the window and drink in that glass of water and just take that break and be intentional. That's going to be really helpful for you. Another thing as well is that remembering that our negative thoughts are just our thoughts, right? They're not who we truly are. So when we can remember that our thoughts, we don't have to believe everything that we think, and we have the power and the ability to change our thoughts, which I teach you, by the way, in my program, in the 21-day challenge, Master Your Mindset. When we can remember we don't have to believe everything that we think, we can start to change our narrative. I get that. I'm also feeling called to talk about compassion. So being a little bit more compassionate with ourselves and with other people as well. Sometimes, especially in work situations, people aren't acting or behaving or doing work or acting in the way that we think they should, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's wrong, right? So when we are around people or situations that are causing us to feel a little bit of like disharmony, or we don't feel comfortable, very often that's because there's something triggering there. That's something that we can learn from. So when we can maybe see through the eyes of love, even go, I'm going to see the situation through the eyes of love. I'm going to see the situation through the eyes of love. That's going to be super helpful. But another thing that we can do is we can go, I'm going to see the situation with compassion. I'm going to look at it with curiosity. You know, what does this person or this situation have to teach me? When so-and-so is taking breaks and I'm not, and that's annoying me, is that because I want to take breaks as well, but for some reason, I don't give myself that permission? So have a look at those high pressure situations and go, is there something that I can learn here from this? Now, earlier or later today, actually, depending on when you're listening to this, I'm recording this on June 13th, 2024. I've released an episode that's all about how to help you with anxiety. So if you want to go ahead and check out the Afterlight Podcast, there's episodes there to assist you with overcoming fear, overcoming anxiety, coming back into the here and now moment, connecting with your heart. Those are all things that you can do to really assist you to be here in the now. Great question. Next question. How can I add mindfulness to my daily routine to improve focus and productivity? How can I add mindfulness to my daily routine? Well, it's just about being present, honestly. If you're wanting to add mindfulness so that you can improve your focus and productivity, and this is some of the things that I see a lot of people struggle with, is that they don't have laser focus. They're checking their phone, they're looking outside, they're seeing what's around them. I mean, the average office worker gets distracted 37 times an hour. And if you think about all your emails that you're checking and the different tabs that you've got open on your browser, there's so many distractions. So to be more mindful is to be more present. And to be more present is to invite in moments of being present in your life on a regular basis, not just when you're maybe in trouble and you're really needing to. So for example, right now, let's just come back to our breath for a second together. Let's take a breath in. And a breath out, breath in, and a breath out. That is a moment of mindfulness. That is a moment of being here in the now moment. And when you can look for opportunities to invite present moment awareness into your life, that's going to really help you to be a little bit more mindful. And as you practice that, you'll get even more mindful over time. And that will really assist you with being more productive and laser focused in your everyday. Cool. A couple more questions before we wrap up here. How can I stay positive when my business faces setbacks or failures? That can be a very hard thing, you know? What's coming to mind, number one, is rejection is God's protection. I read that in a Colette Baron. I actually read it in this deck, in this book, Wisdom of the Oracle. It's in one of the card descriptions. I remember reading that and thinking, wow, that is so good. I think sometimes when we have failures or setbacks, we can look at them as an opportunity to rise above, pivot, look at things from a new angle, look at the lessons that we've learned and try something different, look at the skills that we've learned along the way, and maybe even look at the things that we know that we would never do again and see them as opportunities. Or we can look at it as a failure, as a personal failure, as an attack on who we are, as an attack on our self-esteem, as an attack on our self-worth. And so we really have an opportunity in any given situation, how we're going to choose to look at that situation. So for you, this is really going to be a lot about, okay, look at the situation and what can you learn from it? How can you learn and how can you grow? And especially as soul-led entrepreneurs, failure and setbacks and challenges, they happen, don't they? But what if we reframed them? Instead of failure, we said learning opportunities. Instead of setbacks, we looked at it and went divine timing. Instead of challenges, we looked at it and went, okay, new ways of pivoting or new opportunities that are being landed into my lap that maybe are not here right now, but that I'm open to. So when we call on angels such as Archangel Jophiel, Jophiel, Jophiel can really come in and help you to feel or to look at situation with like more beauty, more unconditional love, more awareness in that way to really help you to reframe the situation in a positive light. I also call upon Archangel Michael all the time to help with strength and protection. And also Michael can help with life purpose. So sometimes when we just put it out there to the universe and we just say, hey, can you please show me what this has to teach me? What does this situation have to teach me? How can I move forward from this situation? And then it's like listening to those little nuggets of wisdom that you get, those little inclinations. So you might have a song that drops in with a message from spirit. You might be walking around and see a bus drive by with a particular message or a website or a phone number or something of someone maybe to call to maybe redirect you and assist you in the next step of your journey. Maybe a friend will call you out of the blue. I was working something out the other day and a good friend called me and I was like, you're the perfect person that I needed to talk to about the situation. So when we put it out there and we go, hey, y'all, I need a little bit of support. I need a little bit of encouragement. How can I reframe this situation? How can I reframe what I'm looking at so that I can see the opportunity within that? I think you're going to find that if you can start to practice doing that, practice makes progress, is that you're going to start to be able to shift and change the way that you see any quote unquote failure or setback. All right, I'm going to do one more question and then I'll wrap it up. What can I do to make sure I have time for self-care and personal growth in a busy schedule? Schedule it in. That's going to be really key. It's also identifying what self-care looks like for you or personal growth looks like for you. So I have people say to me all the time, how is it that you are learning all the time? Well, it's because when I'm cleaning my deck, I'm listening to a podcast about building out Facebook funnels. Or when I'm taking my dog for a walk, I'm listening to a podcast about LinkedIn marketing. Or when I'm cooking dinner, I'm listening to a podcast about life after death and NDE experiences, which really helps shape and shift the way that I see the world. So for you, what does personal growth look like for you? What are some things that you'd like to learn? Maybe write a list of different curiosities. I just recently wrapped up listening to Gordy Ball's amazing book, which is all about the new millionaire. And one of the exercises that he had in there was about getting curious with, the things that interest you, writing down your list of curiosities. So I find sometimes when we don't create space for personal growth or self-care, it's because we don't always know what we want to do. The other thing that we do is we have challenges with prioritizing these things, because when we are so fixated maybe on, oh, I need to do self-care, I need to do personal development, we're not really thinking about, well, what do I have to gain from that? What are the benefits that I have to gain? And sometimes when we can remember why we want to do these things, that can help us to create space for it. And when we know what we're going to do and we don't overthink it and we just get started like right now, that really gives us an opportunity to really show up for ourselves. I often notice that with self-care, people sometimes think it's got to be this big grandeur thing where we're, doing a hair treatment or we're doing a face mask, we're getting our nails done or something. And it can be all of those things, of course. But if you're feeling a little bit of pressure in terms of time allocation, can you just sit with a beautiful cup of tea for 5 minutes and just drink that as a self-care? Can you grab a spoon, make your tea and stir it 3 times? I always stir it clockwise to invite things in, stir it clockwise, where you can invite in maybe abundance and invite in abundance or like good ideas or maybe beautiful thoughts or anything like that. Self-care doesn't have to be some massive thing. It can be that easy. It's just about you deciding that you want to do that. So thank you so much for all your awesome questions. I really appreciate them. If you'd like to submit your own questions to me, you can just go ahead and submit them to me over on the DMs here on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook. You can also email me. Please do join me for Master Your Mindset, a 21-day challenge to a more confident you. And also look out, I've got a 6-month group coaching program, which is going to be launching very soon. And I am over the moon excited to share that with you. So thank you so much for being here. Again, my name is Lauren Grace. I am the host of the Afterlight Podcast, new episodes every Thursday. I'm also a mindset and productivity coach, and I'm also a medium. That means I can talk to your passed over loved ones, angels, spirit guides, and the like. And I love being able to infuse a bit of spirit with a bit of business in everything that I do. All right, I'll talk to you very, very soon. Thanks so much for being here. Bye-bye.
This episode has been sponsored by my business, Lauren Grace Inspirations. I'm a business and life mentor, a workshop facilitator, a soul-led entrepreneur, and host of the Afterlight Podcast. I'm passionate about supporting people like you through transformative courses, mentorship, and trainings so that you can live the life that you choose. I love all things time management and helping the people that I work with to master their mindset. I truly believe that life is a precious gift, and when we can learn to be at one with our thoughts, when we can learn to love ourselves, control and master our time, we really can live an extraordinary life. I have a whole bunch of free offers on my website, and I strongly encourage you to go and check them out. I'd love to keep in touch with you. You can find me over at Lauren Grace Inspirations and all the socials, as well as laurengraceinspirations.com. And I strongly encourage you to sign up for my newsletter. 2 times a month, at least, I send a positive newsletter that's all about helping you to live the best life possible. I always include a card of the day, a business or a strategy tip, and I also include a spiritual lesson. I would love to have you join me, and I'd love to join you on your journey. Thank you, and enjoy the episode.